Welcome back. Let's take a look at this case. Company A exports a batch of clothing fabrics, and the contract stipulates that the quality is 80% cotton and 20% polyester. When the seller delivered the goods, they found that the fabric of this specification was out of stock. Without the buyer's consent, they replaced it with 100% cotton fabric and stated on the invoice that the fabric contains 100% cotton and the price remains unchanged. What consequences will this lead to? Quality clause is an important clause in the international trade contract due to the possibility of different understandings between the buyer and the seller regarding the quality of the goods. The contract must make clear provisions regarding the quality of the goods. One of the main obligations of the seller is to submit goods that meet the quality requirements stipulated in the contract. The buyer also collects the goods according to the quality standards stipulated in the contract. In the above case, the contract specified that the goods should consist of 80% cotton and 20% polyester. However, the seller provided 100% cotton fabric, which contradicted the contract. Consequently, the buyer would refuse to accept and pay for the goods. The quality of goods refers to the intrinsic elements and the external appearance. Intrinsic elements include chemical, physical, mechanical properties, and biological features. The external appearance includes shape, structure, color, transparency, or style of the goods. For example, quality of commodity or description of goods. China sesame seeds, moisture, 8% max, administer, 2% max, oil content, 52% basis. The intrinsic elements are invisible and unknown till the commodity is purchased and consumed by the user. Because it is extraordinarily difficult to know about the invisible quality, ways must be figured out to describe the quality, especially the invisible part. Methods for describing quality are sale by goods and sale by description. Sale by goods. This method includes sale by actual quality and sale by sample. 1. Sale by actual quality. Under the mode of trade, such as consignment, auction, or exhibition, like China Import and Export Fair, the buyer or his agent usually inspects the goods at the seller's location first, and after the transaction is concluded, the seller delivers the goods according to the inspected goods. 2. Sale by sample. As to sale by sample, samples are usually drawn from a batch of goods or designed and processed by the production and the user departments, which are sufficient to reflect and represent the quality of the whole batch of goods. This method of measuring quality is mainly applicable to commodities, which quality is difficult to standardize, normalize, or express by other scientific methods, such as mineral products, native products, etc. Sale by sample means that both the buyer and the seller agree that the sample is the only basis for the quality of delivery, and that the goods delivered by the seller must be completely consistent with the sample. Sample can be provided by the buyer or the seller. 1. If the seller is to provide samples, they must ensure not to infringe on the intellectual property rights of third parties, and that the samples sent out are representative. It is crucial to avoid any discrepancies between the sample quality and the actual product, which could lead to difficulties and losses in future work. Additionally, when the seller provides representative samples, they should be sealed by a third party, such as a commodity inspection bureau, or jointly sealed by both parties, with duplicate samples retained, to clarify respective responsibilities in case of future disputes. 2. Providing samples by the buyer can enhance the adaptability and the competitiveness of the exported goods, but care must be taken to avoid infringing on other industrial intellectual property rights. 3. Returned sample, also known as countersample. In international trade, cautious sellers are often reluctant to accept transactions delivered against the buyer's samples, so as not to cause the buyer to claim or return goods because the delivery quality is inconsistent with the samples. In this case, after receiving the samples from the buyer, the seller shall process and copy similar samples according to the buyer's samples, and the confirmed samples are called countersample or confirmation sample. Once the countersample is confirmed by the buyer, it will replace the original sample and becomes the final standard of quality of the transaction. The precautions when sale by samples includes: 1. The goods delivered by the seller shall be free from defects that would be difficult to detect on reasonable inspection and would result in non-compliance with commercial sales. 2. Where the quality of goods can be expressed by scientific indicators, the method of buying and selling by samples should not be adopted. If there are special requirements for modeling or commodities with color, fragrance, taste, and other characteristics, as well as other commodities that are difficult to express quality with scientific indicators, they shall be sold and bought by samples. In many cases, samples are used only to represent one or more aspects of the quality of the commodity. 3. When the transaction is based on samples and the quality is not absolutely guaranteed, corresponding flexible provisions shall be made in the terms of the contract. For example, quality shall be about equal to the sample, or quality is nearly sample as the sample. That's all. See you next time.